Hi, everybody, and welcome to the National Small Business Week edition of Smallbizchat Live. I'm Melinda Emerson, Small Biz Lady, and I am the host of Smallbizchat, and we have an amazing show for you tonight. Now, for the last 10 years, I have hosted Smallbizchat every Wednesday night from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern, live on Twitter. But once a month, we do it as a video broadcast. So we don't just bring you one guest, we bring you three. And tonight we have an amazing show in store, and we're talking about all about sales. We're going to talk about how to build a business you can sell. We're going to be talking about how to hire your first salesperson, which is critical to a business. And we're going to be talking about how to write effective sales copy. So if you can't figure out how to grow your business after tonight, shame on you. But listen, Smallbizchat Live wouldn't be possible were it not for our amazing sponsor, Mixmax. Now, a lot of you out there use Gmail as your main communication in your business, and Mixmax works on top of Gmail to help you automate your emails. You can schedule things. You know, those pesky back and forth with people trying to figure out, Mixmax makes it easy. So you can tell people what your availability is. They click a box, it goes on your calendar just like that. You can also send out timed emails as well as find out when people have opened your email. So it really is going to make your email communication a lot more efficient. I love Mixmax. My team loves Mixmax. We all use it, and you guys should check it out as well. And like I said, we wouldn't be able to do Smallbizchat Live tonight were it not for the generous sponsorship from Mixmax of all the things that we're doing here at Small Biz Lady Enterprises. Now, what I want to tell you guys is that the cool thing about tonight's show is not only are we streaming live on my Facebook Small Biz Lady page, but we're streaming live on Twitter as well, Periscope, and we're live on YouTube. So I want to invite all of you to leave us comments. Tell us if somebody is preaching to your pain. I want to know everything we're doing that's working for you. And if you got an idea of a topic that you'd like to see in the future, leave that in the comments as well, because I read all that stuff and I will give you what you need if you let me know. So I want you to know that we created Smallbizchat Live really for our loyal audience. You know, the last 10 years, hundreds, thousands of people have come through Smallbizchat and gotten peer-to-peer advice. And the mission of Smallbizchat is to end small business failure. We know you're out there working hard, and I want to give you tools and tips to make the money that you deserve so that you can live your dream life, right? Because entrepreneurs, we live how most people can, so we can live how, we live how most people won't, so we can live how most people can. All right. So with that, I am really excited to talk to you guys tonight about sales. And with that, I want to bring on our very first guest of the evening. He is a business consultant and he is a good friend of mine. His name is Ash Shukla. And Ash moved to the US from India in 1989 with just $20 in his pocket. He couldn't even speak English. And he actually beat the odds and has become an Amazon bestselling author. But more importantly, he created a seven-figure business that he recently sold. And he's a nationally recognized speaker. And he really has built up his career in the financial services industry. And he now works with entrepreneurs like me and you to teach us how to build businesses that we can sell. So I am so excited to have Ash with us tonight. Ash, welcome to Smallbizchat Live.
Thank you so much, Melinda, for having me today. I really appreciate you.
Awesome, awesome. So I know that, you know, in the early years of your career, you know, in the financial industry, you had a hard time, right? So how did you turn things around and build a successful business?
Yeah. So first of all, Melinda, can I give you a shout out? I just wanted to. I've known Melinda. So when did we meet? In 2008, nine,
It was
something like
early.
that.
It was early. I had just kind of coined the Small Biz Lady brand, I think, when we first met.
Yeah, you had just started that, and I remember, her like, at first when we connected back again, I had to think about it. But then I'm like, oh my God, it's been so long ago. But I just want to congratulate you in building the brand exactly how you envisioned it. So I wanted to just shout out and say that. And those of you who are online, whether you're on Twitter or Facebook or YouTube, and I just want you to hashtag out Smallbizchat. I think that is a great way to start. As far as your question, my struggles, that you asked about, And like when I got started in my business initially, I got started in 1994 in the financial field. I ran into the financial world basically. So it wasn't planned, it just happened. I was studying computer science in college at the time, and I literally ran into financial services. So go ahead.
So how did you turn? I mean, I know that, financial services, early 90s, later on there was a dot-com bubble that
Yep.
burst. How did you survive all that, to build a seven-figure business that you were able to sell?
Right.
Like,
So
I think that's
so
like everybody's dream. Like tell us how you did it, please.
Okay. Yeah. So I think the first thing is that I to give you a little bit more background on that. When I got started, I had to say I wasn't bad at sales, because initially I got started in the life and health arena, and then I went into so I was working with banks, and one of the banks I was working with, major company I was working with, they hired me as a sales rep, and I was strictly majority of everything was on commissions, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I wasn't bad. I really was pathetic. So I couldn't close anybody. It was really bad. So before I even get into the .com issues, I had my own, like that .com issues. I had double dot issues. So it was the bigger issue that I was facing was my internal battles, because I couldn't speak English. I would go to take exam. My first exam, I failed my exam like 7 times before I passed it the 8th time. And then finally I took my investment exams, and I had to go through that few times before I got those licenses. So I think many times business owners, you look at the markets, and when as one of the things that I had in my corner as an advantage is me being a foreigner. Many times, we don't really I didn't even know there was a .com issue here, right? There was really no indication of that. I was working at a Luskin's, the cheapest guy in town, and gas station and mobile gas station, and I was working at Montgomery Wards, and things of that nature at the time while I was putting myself through college, and as I had gotten into the financial world. So I think that many times, yes, there are there economic issues? Yes, but if you just come to number one, recognize that we have the best of the best economic conditions in the world, no matter what the market is doing. So I think that's the first thing that most business owners miss out on, is that you have to recognize where you are. Coming from a different country, and looking at what I was doing here at the age of 16, what I realized in reality was the fact that, okay, .com is really not the issue, or anything else is not the issue, because if I can come here at the age of 16 and work at a mobile gas station for first year, working 24 to 48-hour shifts, and accumulate let's just say 5 figures in my bank account, and at the age of 16, I think anybody can do it. So it's just a matter of your determination. I think that it boils down to your determination and your ability to get yourself to work. I think that thinking, like strategic thinking, comes later, right? But if you can just get yourself to work and just keep learn how to grind, I think that's a beginning stage of survival. I think that hard work, in my opinion, outbeats any smartness that people have thought about in the past. I mean, I don't know anybody, like you take a look at any leader like Martin Luther King or Mahatma Gandhi, or any leaders, they have outbeaten people by working hard, and being determined, and that's really the quality. But go ahead.
So let's talk about the top issues that the mistakes that people make, or the issues that most small businesses face. What do you think they are now?
I think that the number one small issue, issue that business owners face, is what I constantly find is their mindset. Like that's the number one issue that I see, is the mindset, actually, more so than the skill set. I've done some surveys, and I've talked to several small business owners, over the years, and one of the things I found is that number one issue they're having is their ability to believe in themselves, to say, what, I can do this, because we come from an environment, like when I was a kid, since since childhood to my adulthood. In my childhood, like I was sexually molested, I was verbally abused, I was physically abused, and there were so many issues that I went through. And I think a lot of people go through so many things in their lives, right? So what happens is that you hang around people that which are usually the people who are the most discouraging in the initial stage of business. So or in life in general, anything you're trying to do something new, and what happens is we run into this, the crowd of like 90%, and 90% of these people that we know who are in the circle of influence, they're constantly telling us that you can't do this, you can't do that, why do you think you can make it, I don't think you can. And that constantly sarcasm has brought us down so much that that we just can't believe that we can achieve something next. And I think that's the number one issue that most small businesses face. I mean, as I talk to more and more small businesses, I think that more small businesses, they're breaking away from that, trend that they're looking, at least they're trying, right? I mean, think of normal people who go to work. You said small businesses actually make things happen what other people can't, because they're actually trying to break the pattern, right? This a loop, as I call it, like a life loop. It's a life is a loop. You wake up in the morning, you brush your teeth, you take a shower, you do your thing. During the daytime you go to work, and you come home and you eat something and you go to sleep, and then that's the cycle basically you're gonna run, and then next thing you know is you're gonna die. So that's basically the cycle. So if you take a look at it, life is a loop, and so is your business. And many times I find that the mindset is also a loop. That the loop that you have been, like, it's just like a record. It just keeps going and going, and you just have to learn how to break out of that. And what I find with small businesses is a fear. Is if they just let go of the fear, really they have an amazing future in front of them. So that's the number one issue that I see, is a fear of loss, because it's been ingrained in them. Most small business owners are breaking away from that. So small business owners, I want to congratulate you, as you're at least trying. Just imagine this: most of your family and friends who told you no, who said you can't do it, they're not even trying. Like, they are just going to die. So most people as human beings, we are born crying. We live our life unsatisfactorily, and we die in a remorse, of thinking that I should have done this, I should have done that, I could have done this, I could have done that, and we literally die in a regretful fashion. But if you're trying, my thing is that if you're just trying and giving yourself a chance to break out of that loop, I think that is the best thing you can do. Because in Bhagavad, I'm Hindu by religion, so in Gita, in our religious book, one time this warrior gets into this little loop, and there's actually a strategy in a war where they basically surround you, right? So there was a way to be called the chakra view. Chakra means a circle, view means it's a trap, right? Basically. So how do you break out of the trap? So my question is, how are you going to break out of your trap if you're a small business owner? And you can do hashtag Smallbizchat.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. I'm going to put a pin in that, and we're going to go to commercial. And when we come back, we're going to dig in to what do you have to do to build a business you can sell. I'm Melinda Emerson, the Small Biz Lady. You are watching Small Biz Chat Live, and we will be right back.
Since we implemented Mixmax, our open rates are 86%, our reply rates are 52%, and our RSVP yes rates 41%.
My advice for other companies interested in Mixmax is definitely go for it. It's also a really easy onboarding process. It's very user-friendly, it's easy to get in there. I wish we had started using it a lot sooner, and it's made my life much, much easier.
Hi, everybody. I'm Melinda Emerson, the Small Biz Lady, and welcome back to Small Biz Chat Live. We have just been talking with Ash Shukla, and he is telling us about how to build a business you can sell. He built a 7-figure business in the financial service industry that he just sold, and he's going to give us some insights on how to do that. So break it down for us, Ash. How do you build a business you can sell? What is the first thing that you need to do?
So the first thing is, make sure that you have your mindset correct. Whatever it is, the target that you're setting, make sure that you go for that target. Make sure that is clear. Step number one. Step number two, make sure that you are completely determined. You are absolutely, meaning your why is so clear that you are able to go for it, regardless of the odds. Okay. Number three, make sure that you are implementing, proper strategies, because you could work hard and keep working hard, but if you don't have proper strategies set in a correct manner, you are going to end up working yourself, to death, and then get discouraged. Okay. Number four, go ahead.
No. If you got a number four, give us number four.
Okay. So number four, and make sure that, you have, proper help. Okay. And if nothing else fails, if nothing works, just go for it and keep going for it, and don't give up on your effort, because that will ultimately win the game, because you figure out things and you grow your intuition. Right? Make sure you're growing that this works for me, this doesn't work for me, this is good for me, this sucks for me, whatever that might be. But that's how you build a business, because it's really not about books, it's about doing something.
Well, how do you figure out what team you need? Because I know that it's one thing. Oftentimes I talk about this a lot, where people hire doers versus thinkers in a business, and like, how do you know what kind of people you need in your business?
And that's a great question, actually. So I talk a lot about, in my trainings and other things, but I talk a lot about, what I found out is that most of the time people are misfit in their position. So when you are choosing people, you got to make sure they're a good fit in their position. So I'll give you an example. If you are hiring a sales rep, right? The question is, what are you, do you have things in place for that sales rep to sell your service or sell your product in a proper way? But more importantly, you want a salesperson who is a go-getter. You don't want a salesperson who is just into a thinking mode, right? You don't want a technical analyst trying to sell something. That's not going to work really well. Okay. So that's number one, is make sure you are aligning the position with the person that you are hiring, to make sure the alignment takes place. Otherwise, you always will end up with a misfit, and you continuously have to go back and fix things. So that's one of the biggest pieces of the puzzle I think is so crucial, is that if you take a look at a corporation, you can break it down into three main categories. You have go-getters, so usually either marketers or salespeople. That's your heart of your organization. If you don't have that correct, you cannot have an organization. End of story. You have a hobby if you don't have that going on. Okay, so you got to make sales and you got to make money. That's first thing. Those two things has to happen. Then you have the CEOs and the CFOs and people at the top of the organization. These are more intellectual type of people. They're really creative, but they're absolutely creative, but they're more intellectually sound, meaning they know the numbers. They're more detail oriented in that space, right? So that's second thing. That they're also making a sale, but it's a different kind of a sale. So that, that's another thing. But then you have the operations, which is the most important piece. Operational people must be, as minute or detail oriented as possible, because they make the ship run. Right. So with the combination of these three, I think that you need to really align your people in the proper places.
All right. So marketing is really, the way marketing is being done now is really changing how all businesses operate. They're saying that online marketing is putting retailers out of business. What do you see the marketplace going through in the next 2 years? And do you think that the marketplace matters, or do you think that it's more about your determination?
So in my opinion, thus far it hasn't affected me per se too much, just because of the thought process. Now, marketplace does matter in terms of, like, I'll give you an example. If you're in an industry, an industry cap is very small, like a national industry cap. So whatever the industry you're in, you should look at the cap that what was the sales for 2017 or 2019 even, right? For that matter, or 2018, right? So if you don't have that structured properly, and if you don't know the cap, then you have a problem. But in all generality, if you're just trying to make a good business, as long as you do what you're supposed to do, that is really just, then it becomes a minute issue. But yeah, I mean, does market cap help? Absolutely, it helps. Does it help to know your numbers? Absolutely helps to know your numbers. But it's not always the case.
All right. So last question for you. If I was considering a coaching program to really like hiring a coach to help me get my business to the next level so I can build the kind of value that would allow me to sell it, what kinds of things should I look for?
Number one, has that coach done it? Mm-hmm. Have they been on the road that you're trying to go on? Mm-hmm. Like, I'll give you an example. I had somebody who's like, I can help you do A, B, C, and X, Y, Z. And my first question is, so what have you accomplished thus far? And they're like, well, I haven't really done much. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I just can't have that. Number one rule is, have they been there? That's first rule. The second rule is the coach in alignment with who you are? Are they sharing same values? Meaning, are they like, if you might be an aggressive person and the coach might be very conservative. I was talking to somebody and they said they were making $250,000 a year, and then the coach was telling them they shouldn't be going as aggressive, and they want to make $500,000 or $1 million. So the question is like, what kind of coach is that person? They're actually putting them down. So make sure your coach is lifting you up. Not the job of a consultant or a coach is to lift you up, not push you down. Number two. And number three, make sure that you are in synchronicity as far as the thought process, as far as the feelings, and as far as what you guys are sharing together. And if that's not there, then that shouldn't be the coach you are hiring. But I think it's important to align yourself properly.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Ash. We're really excited to have you here tonight. And next up, we're going to be talking with Suzanne Paling, and she is the author of The Accidental Sales Manager, and she's going to help us learn about how to hire your first salesperson. I'm Melinda Emerson, the Small Biz Lady. You are watching Small Biz Chat Live, and we will be right back.
We see something like an 85% open rate of our outbound email sequences. We see something like a 40% reply rate to those cold sequences, and outbound accounts for something like 30% of our signups right now. So we can directly attribute that to MixMax.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Small Biz Chat Live. This is our National Small Business Week edition. I am so excited to be talking to you. Normally every Wednesday night we're live on Twitter, but tonight we're live on Twitter with video. We're live on my Facebook fan page with our broadcast. We're also live on YouTube, and I appreciate all of the people that are out there watching us. Please leave us a comment. If you're learning something, if you want to know more, I want to know. So we want to give it to you in any way you need it. And I'm so excited tonight. I love Twitter. Twitter changed my life. And so we would never forget my Twitter peeps. So, we will be back live next Wednesday on Twitter doing Small Biz Chat. But once a month, we do the video thing because I want you to have not just one expert, but 3 experts to learn from. And so now we're back live, and it's time for me to introduce my next guest, sales expert, Suzanne Paling. And Suzanne is a nationally recognized sales management leader, and she is the founder of the Sales Management Services Company, and they provide practical advice to company presidents, business owners, and entrepreneurs seeking to increase revenue by adding some salespeople so that they can improve their sales performance. She has over 25 years of experience in sales, and Suzanne specializes in helping companies improve their sales performance. She will actually manage your whole process if you want to hire a salesperson. So I am so excited to have my friend Suzanne here with us tonight. Suzanne, welcome to Small Biz Chat Live.
Melinda, it's good to see you, and thank you for inviting me to be on your live chat tonight.
Awesome. So let's jump in because this is a real issue. I have seen a lot of small businesses go down from not hiring salespeople the right way. And so I want you to give us your very, very valuable insight on this. So let's jump in. So when I'm hiring my first salesperson, what is the first thing I need to do as a business owner to get ready to even hire someone?
Before you do anything else, find a quiet place. Ask yourself where your business is in May of 2019 in terms of your services and in terms of the product, and write a job description. And don't, if you've hired salespeople before or you have some old job descriptions, don't go into files and cut and paste and do all that kind of thing. Think about who you need to hire, what kind of a person they need to be, what kind of skills they need to have, and write the job description. It will inform your whole job search.
Now, what else should be on that hiring manager's to-do list?
Again, before you bring anyone in for an interview, think about the minimum performance standards. What is it, Melinda, that they need to do week in, week out so that they can achieve quota? How many decision makers do they need to speak to per week, per month? How many product demonstrations do they need per week, per month? How many proposals should they be sending out? A lot of small business owners hesitate to do that because they worry that they won't get the numbers exactly right. There is no one right exact number. Just think about it and then provide the sales rep with a number that works so they can use it as a guidepost. If the numbers aren't exactly right, you can edit them as time goes on. But don't hesitate. Just go ahead and do it.
What else do you need to have in place before you hire someone?
Complete your compensation plan. Complete it. If compensation isn't your forte, have a quick meeting with a consultant who can help you dot your I's and cross your T's, and make sure the compensation plan is finished. Often when I'm working with small business leaders, they say, well, I don't want to finish it because I want to see who I'm interviewing and what they might want to earn. They think if it's complete, they might not be able to negotiate. Well, that's not true. Complete the plan and then leave a little room for negotiation. But if the plan isn't complete, a really good sales rep may walk away and think, well, I'm not sure what I'm making and they seem disorganized and I don't want to go to work for them.
All right. Well, let me ask the burning question that I know every small business owner wants to know. Do people really still work for commission only, or is that a fantasy at this point?
I have rarely, if ever, hired anyone for a commission only job. Most people ask for a base salary, benefits, obviously, and then commission and or bonuses.
Okay. Now, what are the components of a good phone interview, and what are some of the common mistakes people make when they start interviewing candidates?
Melinda, that's a great question. What people do is treat the phone interview as a phone-based face-to-face interview, and it isn't. It should be no more than 20, 25 minutes in length. You should have your questions prepared, and you should do almost no talking, and it gives the chance a candidate to prove to you that they can potentially do this job opening that you have. But the mistake a lot of people make is they start bonding with the candidate, and they'll say to me, oh, I know you meant well with the advice you gave me, but the interview was great. It lasted 2 hours and we realized our husbands went to the same high school. Isn't this great? It isn't. It's terrible. It means you've already bonded with the person. And now that's going to bias you when you go to select a candidate. It's on, it's off. You have your questions ready and you find out, can they potentially do this job?
Right. Now, I know that you're a big fan of having salespeople do sales assessments.
Yes.
How do you bring that issue up with a candidate? Like, have you had people refuse to move forward in a process because they wouldn't take an assessment?
Pretty rarely. What you say to candidates is, at company XYZ, this is going to be our interview process. We'll speak to you on the phone. If we want to move forward with you at that point, we ask all candidates to take an assessment. Once the assessment is complete, if we want to move forward with you, we'll have the first face-to-face interview. It's part of the process, and every candidate is treated equally.
Okay. So you already kind of discussed the first phone interview. What about the first in-person interview? How do you get ready for that?
So you're more ready than ever if you decide in advance what your interview process will be. And during the interview, you ask questions around things they may have said or not said during the phone interview. Then you move to the assessment piece and you ask them questions about their results from that assessment. And then you move into maybe learning about their closing style, their cold calling, former employers. You have it set up so that you're not floundering around, you're not going from subject to subject, you're not going from question to question. It's very well set up. And then when you're done, you say to them, that's my last question. Now I'd like to turn it over to you, and you can ask me anything you might like.
Now, what is the key difference between like this first in-person interview and let's say the second interview when you want to bring them back when you've narrowed it down to like maybe 2 people?
Yes, a really, really good question. I have many times been in a situation where we've had someone in for the first interview. We bring them back for the second interview and we all say, who's this? They are very different on the second interview. They come in, they're not dressed as nicely, they're more relaxed. They wonder if they're being taken out to lunch. They really are a very different person. So the first thing you want to know is, are they that same person that showed up on that first interview? The second thing you want to find out is, was there anything that they didn't quite answer to your satisfaction or answered incompletely? And you want to follow up on that. You may also ask them to bring in proof of what they've talked about in terms of former sales accomplishments. You may also want them to meet other people within your organization. But the main thing is, are they that same individual who showed up the first time?
Got it. Now, how do you go about reference checks? Do you check references right before you're about to make the offer, or do you check the references for the final 2 candidates?
I check only those references for the final candidates. And I call reference checking the dirty little secret in the hiring industry. A lot of people ask for references, but they never call them. And what they tell me is, why should I bother? No one says anything anymore. And that's not true. Every single time I do a reference check, someone says something that I might not have known or thought of beforehand. The references have one advantage over you. They have worked with this person and you have not. So get your questions ready, ask the questions, and get ready to be surprised.
Now, last question on this, and we're going to go to commercial. What's the best way to make a job offer?
I am a little old-fashioned, and I think how you start is how you finish. And I think you should put together a letter, make sure you put their name on it, not someone else's. Get the name right, the title, the comp, the start date, everything, and email it to them. And when they walk in that first day, if they work for the company, have a gift certificate on their desk for some kind of office supply company, have their cards ready, have other things ready for them, and make them confident about themselves and the fact that they chose a great place to work.
I like it. I like it. Thank you so much, Suzanne. We're going to go to commercial. When we come right back, Suzanne's going to talk to us about how to manage this new salesperson you just hired. Thank you so much. That was such good insight. I'm Melinda Emerson, the Small Biz Lady. You are watching Smallbizchat Live, and we will be right back.
Hi, I'm Melinda Emerson, Small Biz Lady. I know you might be thinking about quitting your business and going back into corporate America, but wait, before you give up, my new book, Fix Your Business, could give you a whole new lease on life. My 12 P's of running a successful business will walk you through step by step how to grow your business revenue, how to hire great people and streamline your processes, and so much more. Grab a copy today of Fix Your Business and get your life back.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Smallbizchat Live. I'm Melinda Emerson, the Small Biz Lady, America's #1 small business expert. And we have just been talking with Suzanne Paling, and she just broke down for us how to hire your first salesperson. And really, she gave us some great insight on how to hire anyone. But let's also now talk about, now I've hired this great person, but if I've never managed a salesperson before, that's not like managing any other employee. I mean, isn't it a little bit different, a little bit more specific how you have to manage a salesperson?
Yes, it's very different. When I work with small business leaders and we make the offer and the salesperson accepts it and everyone is excited, they look at me and say, "Oh, I'm so relieved. Now I can get back to work." And I say, "What?" Salespeople require, especially in the beginning, a lot of time and energy. What I say to them is, especially that first month, keep your calendar relatively clear. Meet with them several times a day and take the assessment, look at their strengths and weaknesses, and let it determine how you coach them. It depersonalizes the situation and allows you to focus your coaching in the areas in which they need it.
Now, what type of sales onboarding do you need to have in place when someone comes on?
The best thing to do, again, going back to the writing of the job description, is the creation of a sales toolkit, template introductions, template emails. What are the most common objections they'll face and how should they address them? What qualifying questions should they ask? What discovery questions should they ask? How does one run a demo? Have that ready in a sales toolkit type of format. And salespeople need to know a lot about the company they work for. Make sure they are spending time with each and every person in every department.
Now, what kind of technology tools and things do you need to have in place? You know, should you have the CRM already kind of fired up and ready to go and tell them these are their accounts or these are the warm leads that they can go chase down? Like, what kind of stuff do you need to have?
Yes, the CRM should be fired up and ready. And I always tell people to do the same thing. Run a list of customers that haven't done business with you in 2 years or more, and have the sales rep call through that list. They can't hurt anyone or anything. It allows them to learn how to introduce themselves, hear what the customer sounds like, ask questions, give answers. And I've never yet, in all the years I've been doing this, seen a sales rep who didn't close a sale eventually from this list. Maybe not right away. So put them on a dormant account list and let them go crazy on it, because they can't hurt anyone.
All right.
And also have some mechanism, Melinda, for them to be able to tape their calls so you can listen to them and provide corrective action and coaching if necessary.
Okay, that's a really good tip. All right, now what is the best advice that you can give to a business owner who needs to hire a salesperson right now?
Salespeople face a tremendous amount of rejection, and you have to be there for them. You have to make space in your calendar. You have to meet with them. You have to answer their questions, and immediately, almost from the start, have a sales contest going so that they are motivated and excited about being at your company and working there, and that they know you understand salespeople.
Love it. Love it. All right. You guys heard it here. Suzanne Paling, sales expert, just broke it down for us how to hire a great salesperson. And honestly, when I hired my first salesperson, it changed my business. You know, so you have to have someone in your business thinking about how your business makes money other than you. And that is why we focused on that tonight. Now, next up, we're going to be talking to an expert in writing copy that sells. So, you know, those emails that we just talked about, we're going to get some secrets on how to write some great ones with our guest, SaDon Long. I'm Melinda Emerson. You're watching Smallbizchat Live, and we will be right back.
My new book, Fix Your Business, is really about encouraging people to take back control of their business and change how their businesses is run. It's not okay to skip paychecks. It's not okay to never feel like you can take a vacation. And it's also not okay to not know how much profit you've made in your business until your taxes are done. I really want business owners to stop letting their businesses be runaway trains. I've written this book to teach people processes and systems to help them run their businesses intentionally. My goal is to help existing entrepreneurs create a business that allows them to live their dream life.
Hi, everyone. I'm Melinda Emerson, Small Biz Lady, and welcome back to Smallbizchat Live. This is our special National Small Business Week edition, and we have been talking about all things sales tonight. And now it is time to talk to the man that's going to teach us about how to develop effective sales copy. So I would like to welcome my next guest, marketing strategist SaDon Long. and he is a best-selling author and founder of SaDon Long Solutions. He specializes in helping small businesses develop sales campaigns and copy that sizzles. He helps entrepreneurs develop effective strategies to choose the right ads, relationships, and promotions to compete online. SaDon, welcome to Smallbizchat Live.
Hey, Melinda, how you doing?
I am great. I'm great. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
Well, thank you for having me on.
All right, so let's just jump into this. What is the number one thing small businesses are doing wrong when they try to sell online? What are they doing wrong?
They are leading with their products. The first thing that people need to understand is that across the board, service, products, and usually most of the benefits are about even. You know, nobody's putting out a bad product. These days, we pretty much understand fast, dependable. All those things are going to be pretty much even. And then when you start talking about outcomes or benefits, that's kind of where it gets a little bit murky because some people are over-promising and under-delivering. But what you really want to start with is you want to start with understanding and empathy. Basically, what I mean is you understand what it feels like to be a person like your customer who has the problem that you solve. So that's where you want to start. I understand how it feels to be you because I was you, or maybe I knew someone like you, or I was in a similar situation to you. Because when everything's equal, relationship wins.
I like that. So what can a business owner do to get more attention? I've told you I like you. Okay, now what?
Right.
I told you I'm just like you. Okay, now what?
Simple and specific. You want to be able to tell people what you do. You want to start with who you do it for, then what you do. See, a lot of times we see big marketing campaigns, and we see big brands who've been in business for years, and we think that we can do what they do. But you're better off just being Joe's Towing, Susie's Bakery, and then having your tagline be very specific and descriptive. If you're Susie's Bakery, you want to say something like, "We make cupcakes from scratch just like your grandmother made."
I can get that, and I feel like I can taste that too.
But it's simple. That doesn't confuse people, and they're able to find and identify that you can help them immediately.
Exactly. So where should a business owner start if they've been sort of like sending out emails, sending out newsletters that aren't getting open, aren't getting clicked on? What should they do if they want to kind of turn things around?
Well, the first thing you want to do is you want to start with the people who've done business with you before. You know, a lot of times we're so busy trying to get new business that the business that we have that was hot and it believed in us and it voted for us with their dollar, basically, we forget about them and we go chasing new fruit. So the first thing you want to do as sales install is start calling back, emailing back people who will return your emails. Because if you check up on them, make sure they're good, make sure they're serviced, then you can ask those people for references. So don't be so in a hurry to try to get new business. Make sure that you're getting everything out of the business that you already have.
I think that's a good point. It's cheaper to keep a customer than it is to go out and get a new one, right?
Absolutely. And they already voted for you with their dollar.
All right. So what are the key elements of writing effective sales copy?
Well, the first thing you want to remember in writing effective sales copy is that 50% of your battle is picking the right customer. You know, even if the copy is inferior, but it's something that that person needs, then it kind of works itself out. But where most people go wrong is they choose such a broad audience that no matter what they say, it doesn't work. So what you want to do is you want to pick an audience, and then you want to ask significant enough questions to identify if these are the right people. You know, if you're in business and you're someone who does what we do, for example, we help people with the words that they need to help things sell. So I might say something along the lines of, have your sales stall? You know, is your marketing not working? You know, has the last 3 or 4 ads you put out no one open? So I can kind of get a gauge as to who they are. And then when I do that, it makes it a lot simpler to have a conversation. You know, you don't want to always have to sell something. Sometimes you just want to say, I help people like you get your emails open.
Mm-hmm. Well, and let's talk about that. What about email? Is email king? I mean, is that really the best way to sell?
Well, again, when people opt in, that means that they saw some kind of value in you. So email is the first step to actually having an online customer be your customer. Because no matter what happens with LinkedIn, no matter what happens with the Facebook algorithm, no matter if Instagram shuts down, you'll have an email address. And most people, they keep that Gmail address, they keep that Yahoo address for years. So they're always going to be, at some point, having to look at their phone, having to go through their emails. And if you catch them on the right day, then you're in business. So I always want to get the email address. I always want to get them off the internet and on to an actual email, which acts kind of like a CRM.
Got it. Got it. So now, how do you come up with a winning subject line for an email?
Well, the easiest subject line is how to do something. So if you can't do anything else, you can always go with old, trust and tried and tested how-tos. You know, how to save $5 in 5 minutes, how to save more money on your taxes, how to get cupcakes free for the next 6 months. But if that kind of gets boring, or you tried that and you kind of worn that out, then what you really want to start doing is making sure that there's something in it for the customer. And again, you want to be simple and specific. If you're having a 40% off sale, hey, 40% off. So if it's free or whatever your special is, lead with that. Don't get tricky and start playing games with people, because what happens is you automatically get pushed into the, oh, this is a sales ad. You know, what you want to do is, when was the last time you bought this? If that's something that you do. If you sell something, when was the last time you bought what we sell? Or have you started your business yet? Just simple things that people can look at and identify and answer and open.
All right. So let's talk about newsletters. Are they still valuable, and how often should they be sent?
Newsletters are as valuable as the value that is in them. A lot of people have newsletters, but what they're doing is they're just sending out random information, and they're not sending out information that people can use to better their business or better whatever it is that's going on in their lives. One of the things that I recommend that people do is they do research and figure out what the trends and the truths and the strategies that their customer needs, and keep them aware of that stuff. That way, the customer doesn't have to do the research themselves, so that they can go to your newsletter and say, oh, okay, they're going to keep me abreast on things that are important. That gives them a reason to tune in every week. You know, so if you have information that's valuable, you continually put it in the emails, then your specific customers will continue to turn to you. So newsletters are, yeah, they're still great, and they're still sending them out. If they're really long letters, you probably only want to do it once a month. But if they're short, 4-minute to read, 5-minute to read kind of things, you can do those every week. Some people may do them every day, but I wouldn't recommend you do them every day if you don't have enough content to really make impactful stuff. What you can do, though, is you can curate other people's blogs or curate other people's newsletters that will help your client, and send them those or forward them those. Or if you're on Facebook, for example, you can share those, which will give them, again, another way to get insight that they wouldn't necessarily get, because your customer is busy. They have a life. They don't have time to do the research. And that's where you can kind of separate yourself from the crowd.
All right. Well, SaDon, that was so helpful and impactful. I think the key thing here is there's a big difference between writing blog copy and writing sales copy. And that's the thing that we kind of really want to get across to people. You know, you might even need to hire someone to do it for you. Like, I write blogs all day long. I write books all day long too. But when it comes to things like sales letters or sales funnels and email campaigns to sell things, I don't write those myself. I actually engage professional copywriters to do that. So SaDon, thank you so much for being here. I really enjoyed learning from you. And now I'm going to bring all 3 of my guests back, and we're going to have some fun. We're going to do a quick panel that we call Hit It or Quit It. So I'm going to invite back right now Ash Shukla, Suzanne Paling, and SaDon. We're going to have you as well. And we are going to have each of you answer the same question. You can only speak 30 seconds or less, and you cannot repeat the answer of another guest. So if somebody takes your answer, you got to come up with another one, or you're going to get the hook. All right? That's how it works. So everybody ready?
Ready.
We're ready.
All right. So the first question actually is coming to you, Ash. The second is going to be SaDon, and then third is going to be Suzanne. So we're going to let you have the longest time to think of your answer, Suzanne. All right. So now, Ash, here we're going to start with you. So how this works is, give me your answer, and we keep it moving. So, what is your favorite sales app, Ash? What is your favorite sales app?
My favorite sales app. That's a great question. I have never used an app for sales, but so most of the time I am when I'm selling, I'm in person. So that's why I have never used one.
Okay.
Financial services.
All right. Well, I would say, for example, like my favorite sales app is Infusionsoft, my email marketing program.
Okay.
So that's an example of something that I would do. Now, SaDon, what is your favorite sales app?
Well, I'd probably have to go with Infusionsoft too, but I really like Canva as well.
All right. Canva's a good one. Suzanne, tell me, what is your favorite sales app?
A few years ago, I switched my website over to Squarespace, and I really enjoy the ease of use and the functionality.
Good stuff. Now, I am shocked you did not give me a CRM product, but that's okay. I would take Squarespace, definitely. All right. Now, the next question, Suzanne, you're going to be first, then Ash, then SaDon. So what is your favorite old school marketing tactic? What is your favorite one that is your go-to to attract sales and just interest in your business?
I have been sending out a newsletter every month for 20 years. And every month I hear from 5 or 6 people that I haven't spoken to in a while, and I meet new people that way. I still stand by my newsletter. It's 400 to 600 words about managing salespeople.
Good stuff. What about you, Ash? What's your favorite old school marketing tactic?
Smile and dial.
Yeah. Smile and dial.
Smile and dial, baby. Keep on going.
All right. Good stuff. All right. SaDon, what is your favorite old school marketing tactic?
Tried and true referral. Referrals close at a higher rate. They spend more money. They last longer, and they usually give you an additional referral.
All right. Well, how to get referrals? That needs to be our next session that we do. All right. Now, SaDon, this first one's coming to you now. What is your favorite podcast that you like to listen to?
My favorite podcast has to be Donald Miller, Story Brand. Okay. And I like Donald Miller because he gives you a lot of marketing tips, but he also has some very interesting content outside of marketing that helps make it really a full show.
Awesome. Suzanne, what's your favorite podcast?
I listen to Alec Baldwin's Here's the Thing. I think he is one of the best question askers I have ever heard, and I like to hear him ask questions, especially his follow-up questions of his guests.
Okay. What about you, Ash? What's your favorite podcast?
So I love listening to Brendon Burchard's stuff, that he talks about, and I enjoy his stuff.
Brendon Burchard?
Yeah, Brendon Burchard. Mm-hmm.
I like Brendon too. I like a lot of them. One of my favorite ones though is Mike Michalowicz, the author of Profit First, has a great podcast, and I really, really like his, and I listen to his. All right, so Ash, this first question now is going to come to you, and then SaDon to you, then Suzanne, you'll be last. How do you stay motivated?
How do you not stay motivated? So, I always say that the best way to stay motivated is you know, just dream all the time. Make sure you have your vision correct. At any given point in time, have it in front of you so it motivates you. And the question is, why are you here? And when you're not here, and when you're flat, what are you gonna do? So, that's what I would say.
All right, I like it. I'll take it. SaDon, how do you stay motivated? SaDon, did we lose you? How do you stay motivated?
Well, one thing that we've adopted recently is figuring out how we can pay our monthly bills multiple times in 1 month. So what we want to do is you figure out if your monthly bills are $2,700, how many times can I get $2,700 in 1 month?
Interesting. Okay. All right. And Suzanne, how do you stay motivated?
In late December, every year, I write out all my goals for the next year. And I try to revisit those every single month. I make a grid. I try to figure out where I am on the continuum of reaching those goals, and it helps me stay motivated.
I like it. I like it. And one of the ways I stay motivated is just really from being, having a spirit of gratefulness, and even on bad days, my father used to tell me that I was supposed to thank God for bad days too, because he said I wouldn't even know what good days were if it weren't for bad days. And so whenever I start feeling, some kind of way, like I don't feel like being your small biz lady today, I go back to thinking about how grateful I am to be the small biz lady, and how when I go to an event, people stand in line and I sign books and I take pictures with people, and invariably someone will say, "Aren't you tired? Don't you get tired of signing books?" Hell no, I don't get tired of signing books. I was like, I'm grateful that people would stand and want me to sign my book. You know what I'm saying? So I will take every picture they want to take, because I just feel like, oh my gosh, how could I be ungrateful? Oh my God, it's so terrible to have to sign my name. Are you kidding? Like, no, it's wonderful. So I don't feel that way at all. So having a spirit of gratefulness and just being grateful for the journey, even if the journey is tough some days, is how I stay motivated. All right, last question. And Suzanne, I'm coming to you first.
All right.
What is the best business book you've ever read? What is the one that's been most impactful for you?
When I was a young woman, I read Linda Richardson's Stop Telling, Start Selling. And it made a big impression on me. It was a woman who had written a very credible, excellent book, and also great advice on how to listen and then try to sell people, not just show up and tell them everything.
Excellent, excellent. Ash, what's the best book you've read?
Unleash the Power Within by Tony Robbins.
Okay.
Yeah, that helped me quite a bit when I was down, and I think that that really lifted me up in spirits. That was my very first book I read, and I went to his event, and I was just stoked. So.
All right, good stuff. And SaDon, what's the best business book you've ever read?
Writing Copy That Sells by Ray Edwards. That was like my first dip in the water.
Okay. That's how you got hooked, huh?
Absolutely.
All right. And my favorite business book, I say it every time, but I'm going to say it again, is The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. Is my very, very favorite business book. I think it was one of the most important business books that has ever been written. And I consider him the godfather of small business experts. So I give him a shout out every time. That book changed my life. So listen, you guys, that is it. This was an awesome show tonight. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you to our generous sponsor, Mixmax. If you use Gmail, their marketing software is going to hook up your email with follow-up and scheduling, making everything so much easier. Thank you so much to my guests tonight, Ash, Suzanne, SaDon. Thank you guys for being here. This is National Small Business Week, and I love being an entrepreneur. It's awesome. So we will be back next week on Twitter. So don't miss that Wednesday night at 8 p.m. But listen, the mission of Smallbizchat is to end small business failure. I'm Melinda Emerson, the Small Biz Lady. And I will leave you with this. You never lose in business. Either you win or you learn. God bless everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, guys.